See how I got here first? Brian's coming. Hello, and welcome to Wonder Wednesday on the Whoever Podcast. We're a Christian podcast for non-Christians.
That's how we should have come in with Wonder.
Oh,
hands.
the Wonder? Yeah, we could have. So, today on Wonder Wednesday, we do have a Wonder Wednesday question. It was given to us verbally by someone we were playing Xbox with the other week. And what they wanted to know was, how has religion, being a part of the church, affected our lives? And they wanted to know, how has it affected it positively? And also, what have been the negatives of that?
Yeah, I'll go first with the positive.
Okay.
I would say that my faith in Jesus has affected me positively in that it's given me hope and purpose. So it's given me hope because I know that God is in control, and I know that sounds maybe a little cliche, but legitimately knowing that God is watching over me and that God has a plan and that He knows what's ahead is comforting to me. But it also gives me a hope that at the end of my time here on earth, I get to spend eternity in heaven. And the Bible describes that as a place where there's no sadness, there's no tears, there's no suffering, there's no anger. And that sounds pretty awesome. And so I have hope both for today. I have hope that God is in control, and hope for tomorrow and the day after that, and really all of eternity. But it also has given me purpose in that following Jesus gives meaning to my life. My life is not just about making myself happy. It's not just about doing whatever I want to do to feel good, because I've tried that. I've tried, just pursuing hobbies and collecting things, whatever it is, and that makes you happy for a while. Maybe that gives you meaning for a little bit, but it doesn't ultimately satisfy. It's like drinking salt water. You got to keep doing it. And Jesus himself says, I am living water. If you drink of this water, you'll never be thirsty again. And so God gives me purpose. I have a reason to live. I have something to work towards and to do with my life.
Yeah, I would agree. This question probably has two parts. If the first one is, how has my faith in God affected my life? I would say that's been entirely positive. Not entirely easy. Right? There have been costs to that, and we'll probably get into that in the negatives, but I wouldn't call any part of my faith negative. I think the person I am, the purpose I have, the way my life has gone has been entirely positive. It's difficult to walk through at the time, but looking back on it, I can see the growth, and I can see the way that God has always sort of had me in His hands and been working to better me. The Bible says that God knows the plans He has for us, and that they're plans to prosper us and not to harm us. And I found that to be true over the many, many years that
Just a few more than me.
Not that many, that I've lived on the earth. That has been the case. So my faith has been not only positive, it's been defining of what positive is in my life.
Yeah, I think that defining thing is good too. I think faith has helped me figure out who I am as a person.
Yep.
We all ask that question, who am I? And I think that faith has helped me answer that a lot. And a lot of the things I look back on my life and I could point to, and I could say, that happened because of faith, or that happened because of what God has had me do. I think we should maybe pause for a second and make a quick distinction between faith and religion.
Mm-hmm.
Religion is so faith is believing. It's the way that you look at the world. If you wear glasses like me, I see the world through my glasses, right? Faith is how we see the world, right? Religion it's a system of practices, I would say. So when you think of religion, that's like church services and going, doing various rituals, that kind of thing,
Yeah, I would say that faith is the relationship that we have with a real living God who is capable of having a relationship back with us. It's my faith is me and God and the two of us together. And then religion is the way that lives itself out on the earth. The things that we as people have done to try to build systems around that relationship and that faith, and those systems, because they're built by people in a broken world, can be good and they can be not so good.
Beautiful segue to the negative part, right?
Yeah.
The question was, how has religion affected us positively and negatively? Negatively, Yeah, there's a lot of negatives that religion has done. I was thinking about this on my drive over here this morning, and I can't think of a whole lot of negative impacts that religion has had on me. But I also recognize that I fit into a specific stereotype and I fit into a specific mold where religion is pretty friendly towards people like me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can say that on whole, my participation in the church, my interacting with other people and trying to share my faith with them has been positive. I think it's been good for me. That being said, the church does get things wrong and does hurt people and has hurt me. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so I think if you're watching this and you're looking for, hey, what does the church do right and what does the church do wrong?
We do a lot of stuff wrong.
We do a lot of stuff wrong. That could be a really long video. But the church, when it's behaving the way that God wants us to, when it's helping us to build community and love and selflessly care for one another, is really, really good and has been a real positive in my life. I would say the negatives have come when the church loses that, when the motivations are selfish or for ourselves or out of fear or something. When the church starts making decisions that way, that's when people can get hurt.
And I think if you're watching or listening to this and at some point you've decided that believing in Jesus, faith in God, whatever you want to call it, if you've decided that that's not for you because you've been hurt by religion or because you've seen people do awful things in the name of religion, which we definitely do, we've all messed up, and I apologize for that. I want you to know then that what you're actually experiencing is a loss of faith in people, not a loss of faith in God. We fall short, and so I just want to encourage you, don't let religion or what you've seen on TV or media or what some person who claimed to be a Christian said to you, don't let that be the thing that stops you from coming to Jesus, because that's not necessarily Jesus. That's someone maybe misrepresenting Jesus or making a mistake.
Yeah, that's an incredibly important point. I don't want you to think that we're soft pedaling this. I acknowledge the church gets things wrong, and I acknowledge that the church is capable of hurting people. But what Brian just said is so true. And in my life, I've had to struggle through that. I've had to struggle through, these were the people who are following you and are trying to live for you, and they're also the ones who hurt me. And that's so difficult, and I acknowledge how difficult that can be. But Brian is right that people's failings to live up to what Christ called them to do is not Christ's failing.
Right.
That's his strength. That's the fact that he continues to love them even though they're wrong, just like he continues to love me, even though I'm so terribly capable of being wrong.
Yeah, and if you've been hurt by the church, I just want to apologize. You know, as someone who's worked for churches for a long time, I recognize that I can probably be part of that problem, and so I apologize that you've been hurt by us, because we do get it wrong sometimes, and we do make mistakes. So if you're waiting for the church to apologize, this is about as close as you're going to get. Like, we acknowledge we aren't perfect. I think, you know, maybe we can end with this even, but Jesus himself wasn't necessarily a fan of the established religion of his day either. It wasn't that he said no to faith in God. It was just that he said, hey, you know, church of the first century, you've got some of this stuff wrong. And so again, I just want to encourage you that if the church is the thing that's keeping you away from Jesus, I want to encourage you to re-examine that a bit, because the church is broken and we do fail and mess up. So
yeah, it's Jesus was the one who referred to the religious leaders of his day as serpents and vipers, whitewashed tombs,
blind leading the blind,
hypocrites, right? He had very harsh criticism for the established religion of his day when it put its own interests above what it was supposed to be doing, which was helping people to know God. And for as long as there are people and broken people trying to live for God, there's going to be people getting it wrong. But that doesn't mean that God doesn't love you, and it means that he loves you even when you get it wrong.
Right.
And as difficult as it is, we're called to love the people that hurt us even when they got it wrong.
Yeah. So that's a great question. We love getting Wonder Wednesday questions. If you got other questions, you can feel free to comment below. There's a link down there too where you can ask a question anonymously, so that if you're embarrassed or it's an awkward question, we'll still answer it, and we won't have to know that it was you asking. Or you can just talk to one of us, kind of like this question came to us while we were playing video games. So, if you got anything else, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, definitely. We would love it if you did, and we would love it if you. We do this podcast because it's a Christian podcast for non-Christians. We believe that the truth of Jesus can help people, and that, just like this question kind of implies, sometimes there are barriers to that even by good-meaning people. And so if you know someone who doesn't necessarily know as much about Jesus as they might want to, maybe turn them on to this, because we'd love for them to know the person that's made such a difference in our lives.
That's all for now, but you can tune in next time, and we'll catch you then.
Thanks.
Bye.